I did it!
Sonic 3 has ignited a renewed passion for fans of the notorious video game franchise. Sonic the Hedgehog is trending across media outlets as audiences rush to their local theaters to see the latest film. Personally, I loved how dark and gritty the film can get at certain points, as Shadow's storyline complemented the usual humor and grandstanding Sonic is known for. The two hedgehogs couldn't be more different despite their origins being so similar. Although I went into the theater expecting Sonic to succeed, there were numerous points where the villains gained the upper hand. In today's video, I'll discuss 5 moments in Sonic 3 that could have changed to create drastically different endings.
So, I guess there's only one thing left to say.
Number 1. Shadow and Robotnik return to Earth. To my surprise, the film featured a double redemption arc. In the aftermath of Gerald's defeat, Dr. Robotnik and Shadow realize the charged Eclipse cannon will self-destruct in Earth's atmosphere, an event that would likely have catastrophic consequences for the planet and lead to millions of deaths. While Robotnik and Shadow could have used what little time they have left to flee from the cannon's blast zone, they used their last minutes of life to move the cannon as far from Earth as possible. Shadow uses power given to him by the Chaos Emeralds to push the cannon away and block its deadly ray, while Robotnik broadcasts a final message to Agent Stone, who he heartbreakingly realizes is his best friend moments before his demise. Sadly, Robotnik and Shadow don't make it back to Earth before the credits roll. The after-credits scene confirms that Shadow survives the impact as he collects one of his ring bracelets from the impact site. But Robotnik's fate is currently unknown. It's worth mentioning that he faked his death in a prior film and went into hiding before he agreed to help Team Sonic defeat their common enemy. It's possible that Robotnik could have survived the crash and will fake his death a second time, but I find it hard to believe he could outlive an implosion of chaos energy. The film could have ended with Shadow and Robotnik making a last-minute escape. With help from the Chaos Emeralds, Shadow could have taken Robotnik from the Eclipse cannon and carried him to safety. Robotnik, who had recently received a new suit with all sorts of attachments and tricks, could easily have a tool in the suit to breathe in outer space. Had Shadow carried them further from the cannon or back to Earth, they both could have survived long enough to reunite with Team Sonic. It's also possible that due to their heroics, they could have received a full pardon for their former actions.
What's happening?
The reactor core is overloading. It's only a matter of time before it blows.
Number 2. Tom's death. One of the more heartbreaking scenes in Sonic 3 occurs when the opposing groups attempt to steal the Eclipse cannon's passkey at the same time. When Tom attempts to flee from the scene disguised as the late Commander Walters, he crosses paths with Shadow, who knows Walters is the one who ordered him into cryostasis decades prior. Shadow lashes out at Walters and takes the passkey and only realizes his mistake when Tom's disguise fails. When Sonic arrives and finds his friend unconscious on the floor, he criticizes Shadow, who, without much remorse, states that he was only doing what was necessary. Tom is then surrounded by his loved ones, with Maddie accompanying him to the hospital. His fate is left unknown, but it's mentioned that Shadow placed him in critical condition. With Tom's life on the line, Sonic breaks the vow he made with his friends by taking the Master Emerald and harnessing its power. Sonic is full of rage and desperate to get revenge, placing himself and Shadow on an even playing field. However, Tom had praised him at the beginning of the film for not letting his hardships change his heart. Tom's words prevent Sonic from doing something drastic, and fortunately, Tom makes it home from the hospital with little more than a broken arm. The franchise could have taken a dark turn had Tom died after his encounter with Shadow. Not only would Team Sonic lose a valuable member, but they'd be unlikely to reconcile with Shadow in the future.
Tom, what happened? Speak to me, come on, it's gonna be okay.
Number 3. The Eclipse cannon struck Earth. After losing his granddaughter, Robotnik spends 50 years making a plan to avenge her. The Eclipse cannon he makes for Gun gives him the perfect opportunity to take his revenge, as he leaves his prison and allows Shadow to escape his own confinement. When the pair reunite, they plan to steal the Eclipse cannon from Gun and use its power to eliminate the entire human race. Shadow would power the cannon with his chaos energy, and when the cannon inevitably explodes, he and Robotnik would die on impact. Their plan is incredibly morbid and much darker than most would expect from a franchise targeted toward children and young adults. However, the scope of their plan clearly shows how much Maria meant to them and how far they are willing to go in her name. Shadow approves of Robotnik's plan until the end of the film, where a heart-to-heart with Sonic makes him realize that Maria wouldn't want him to get revenge. Once he realizes that Maria's light can still shape his destiny and lead him down a better place. He helps Sonic stop the Eclipse Cannon from striking Earth using the power of Chaos Emeralds. With limited power, Sonic is eventually knocked away from the cannon and sent flying into Earth's orbit. Shadow and Ivo Robotnik are who ultimately save Earth from the cannon's blast. Although their interference causes the cannon to strike the moon instead, leaving it permanently scarred. Had Shadow and Robotnik failed to adjust the cannon's aim, humanity could have been left on the brink of collapse. Millions would have died, leaving a collapsed civilization in need of rescue. Sonic 4 could have taken place within a dystopian society.
Yes! I did it!
Number 4. Shadow remains a villain. To longtime fans of the Sonic franchise, Shadow was always meant to feel like an anti-hero. In the opening of the latest film, we witness his earliest memories and how his life changed in an instant. The audience can't help feeling sympathetic for him after witnessing the tragic death of his best friend and his unjustified imprisonment. He has a line early on about no one leaving him alone. And if Shadow had been afforded the time to grieve, he may not have attacked Team Sonic as viciously. Shadow's character takes a turn when he reunites with Gerald Robotnik. Maria's grandfather is desperate to make Gunn pay for her death, and it takes little convincing to bring Shadow on board with his plans. To be fair, Robotnik is also the only person Shadow knows in the modern world, and is the only person who tried to protect him from Gunn during their initial raid. If Shadow was going to put his trust in anyone, it was going to be Robotnik, no matter how misguided he would become later. Unlike Ivo Robotnik and Agent Stone, Shadow is aware of Gerald's plan from the start. He knows that the scientist plans to use the Eclipse Cannon to destroy the world, even though doing so would result in the deaths of countless innocents. It's hard to feel bad for Shadow when he condones mass murder, but at that point in the story, all he had known was pain and suffering. If he had been pushed further for any reason, it's possible that his conversation with Sonic wouldn't convince him to change sides. Shadow could have ended the film as an antagonist, forcing Sonic to either defeat him in battle or cause him to flee from Earth entirely. Had a villainous Shadow fled from the battle, the next film could have opened with him meeting Black Doom, another antagonist from the franchise.
Wow. Are you guys seeing this?
He looks just like you.
Impossible. You're a colorful bunch.
Number 5. Knuckles or Tails makes a major sacrifice. Sonic wasn't the only one risking his life to save the world in this film. Team Sonic was a joint effort with Tails and Knuckles each having their moment in the spotlight. The importance of family and the merit of teamwork are recurring themes in Sonic 3, as the three friends find themselves depending on each other to defeat Shadow and the Robotniks. When Shadow breaks his vow to protect the Master Emerald and pursue Shadow on his own, he's considerably weaker than before. He loses his connection to the Emeralds amidst pushing the Eclipse Cannon away from Earth, leading to a dangerous freefall toward the planet's surface. It's likely that Sonic would have lost his life in the fall, but he is saved by his friends. Tails attempts to teleport them to safety using his last portal ring, but falls unconscious before he can succeed. Knuckles then catches them both, and being the strongest in the team, he uses himself to cushion their impact. Team Sonic survives the fall, but Knuckles or Tails could have made the ultimate sacrifice to save Sonic. In the end, he would be left living with the guilt of losing one of his closest friends.
The truth is, you're the best teammates a Hedgehog could ever ask for. And the best friends.
There were numerous ways that Sonic 3 could have ended, but I'm glad that the franchise chose to pursue a happier conclusion. While the fate of Dr. Robotnik is left up in the air, Sonic and his friends are gearing up for their next adventure. The film's in-credit scenes promise new characters in the near future, and each is more exciting than the last. With the third film over and done, I'm eagerly anticipating what comes next in Sonic 4.
But where you found family and friends on this planet, Shadow found only pain and loss.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay updated on our uploads.
One more thing I learned is that when you really screw something up, you can't fix it on your own.